Justice Brett Kavanaugh will start his first day on the job, joining his 8 other colleagues to hear oral arguments. So, can the court hit the reset button just days after the conclusion of that all-out nomination fight? My colleague Pete Williams, our justice correspondent, is joining us now. So, Pete, what is Kavanaugh's first day going to look like?
Well, not exactly blockbuster cases. This will be a return to a question that comes up before the Supreme Court a lot. What did Congress mean when it said that people who commit violent felonies can be subjected to a federal law that requires longer prison sentence? For the next couple of days, he's going to face a caseload that is basically the bulk of what the Supreme Court does, trying to define what Congress meant with laws that are hard to understand and that divide the lower courts. So it's off to a low-key start, which he may very much welcome after the bruising confirmation battle. He was at the court on Sunday, already getting ready. He kept his promise to hire all women law clerks. His four law clerks are all women. So he'll get off to a start during a somewhat low-key, unusually low-key start to this term. But before it's over, he may vote on whether to take up some more controversial cases.
What about then the possibility of recusal, Pete? This seems to have come up from some of his critics on things like, for example, executive power and so on. What's the expectation?
Well, I think the expectation is that he's not going to recuse on political questions. Most justices don't. There are some rare exceptions, like, for example, the vote on the Nixon tapes. But for the most part, Supreme Court justices don't refrain from voting on cases that involve the presidents who appointed them. For example, Neil Gorsuch voted on some cases that involve Donald Trump. And other justices that have been appointed by Clinton and Obama have done the same for issues involving their presidents. Most times, Supreme Court justices recuse themselves because of some direct personal conflict. They own stock in a company that's involved in a case, they've got a family member that's involved in a company, or they somehow handled a case before it got to the court, either because they were in government or on a lower court. But recusal because of a political dispute or criticism for a political party, those are exceptionally rare, and I don't think he would be expected to do so.
Pete Williams. Pete, thank you for breaking that down for us. Appreciate that.
You bet.
Let me bring in now Jeffrey Rosen, President and CEO of the National Constitution Center and professor at George Washington University's Law School as well. Jeffrey, thanks for coming on. And let me ask you this. I am just hearing now from my colleagues back at the White House unit that First Lady Melania Trump will not be attending the swearing-in ceremonial, right, for Justice Kavanaugh tonight. Is that unusual? Typically, this is something First Ladies may or may not attend, right?
Yes, I don't think First Ladies always attend, and I wouldn't read anything in particular into it.
Let me ask you about the comments that another Supreme Court Justice, Elena Kagan, has made as you take a look at the First Lady, by the way, just back from Africa. Here's what the Justice said. Watch.
Part of the court's legitimacy depends on people not seeing the court in the way that people see the rest of the governing structures of this country now. It's not so clear that, I think going forward, that sort of middle position, it's not so clear whether we'll have it.
Do you think the court can hit the reset button here?
You know, that's an incredibly important Justice Kagan just made. She and her other colleagues are concerned that the court cannot easily hit the reset button, that citizens will come to see it as 5 Republicans against 4 Democrats. It puts huge pressure on Chief Justice John Roberts to avoid what Justice Kagan suggested, which is citizens seeing the court in political terms. So it's really striking that both she and Justice Sotomayor at Princeton last week both expressed concern for the future legitimacy of the court, and it shows the tremendous stakes that will face Justice Kavanaugh during his first weeks and months.
But so what can the Chief Justice do, right? Is there a sense that John Roberts would want to stay away from questions where Kavanaugh, for example, would have to weigh in on these issues of executive power in the Trump administration right off the bat? Is that something that you see as a possibility?
It is a possibility. The main thing that the Chief Justice can do is assign the opinion when he's in the majority or give it to a colleague who best reflects his views. That means that Roberts has said that he wants to convince his colleagues to converge around narrow, unanimous opinions and avoid sweeping constitutional questions. in other words, not overturn Roe cleanly, but instead just try to distinguish it. And he'd try to persuade Kavanaugh to do that. But more to the point, the chief can refuse to hear controversial cases. He can try to persuade his colleagues, let's not take an abortion case this term. Let's not deal with affirmative action. This country is too divided. Let's let the lower courts deal with that. And let's stick to the really technical cases that, as Pete Williams described, the justices are more likely to be unanimous on in order to rebuild nonpartisan faith in the legitimacy of the court.
Pete did say there's really nothing super blockbustery coming up, but there are some cases with potential big implications coming down the pipeline. You've got Stoeckling versus the United States. You've got Aaron Liquid Systems Corp versus DeVries, Nielsen versus Preet. Basically, employment protections of gay and lesbian workers. Another dealing with religious symbols on public property. This is hot button stuff, right? What are you watching for? What's the next thing you're looking at that's coming down the pipeline?
Executive power, as you were saying, that's what everyone's looking at. And there's a really interesting case called Grundy. It's kind of technical. Can the Attorney General retrospectively apply a Sex Offenders Act? But it raises this broad question, can Congress delegate to the president really important decisions? The future of the administrative state, the ability of the EPA to regulate the environment could be at stake. Interestingly, Justice Kavanaugh might say Congress can't delegate to the president. That would make it harder to pass other regulations, but it might ironically end up having him rule against the Trump administration in this case.
Jeffrey Rosen, thank you very much for coming on the show. Appreciate it. Right now, today, by the way, early voting is already happening in nearly a dozen states, coast to coast. Starts today in the place with the most voters, California, a state that is jam-packed with pickup opportunities for Democrats, including a district currently held by one of the most controversial Republicans in all of Congress. Our Steve Kornacki is at the big board with that after the break.
You're watching MSNBC International. Conflicts arise.
North Korea dialed up its threats.
And presidencies are defined.
The White House faces meetings with allies and enemies.
As a new administration is tested, stay with the seasoned veterans who've been there before. We'll make a complex world easier to navigate. 5 decades.
A leader determined to resist change.
7 presidents.
Hi, Andrea. How are you?
What would reassure you that the surge is worth it?
Hello, Mr. President.
20 election cycles.
Surrounded by balloons.
1 pursuit.
What about the Russia investigation?
Was there suspicion about Michael Flynn? Doesn't the White House have to take some action?
What would be the consequences of
Can you
that?
assure us that Russia will not be able to move further in Ukraine?
Watergate. We know its name because there were reporters who never stopped asking questions. Now, who knows where the questions will take us, but I do know this. I'm not going to stop asking them.
A lot of these are Rust Belt Democrats, high non-college educated whites, so that's the flip side of that. But yeah,
Nobody breaks it down like Kornacki.
Nobody. We love it.
Guy just gets in, peels it apart.
We put up, they're like, why do you put up with him in the clubhouse? He's throwing bats and helmets and everything. This is why.
you could put up with the temper sometimes.
Right.
I appreciate you guys doing this.
Like Barry Bonds. He's so good. You just deal with it.
Oh, always. He is the Bonds. He really is the Bonds.
So good. You put up with a lot.
Rule number 10, Section 2A states a player shall not run with the ball without dribbling it. That's the rule. But what about our politics? Are there any rules anymore? And if so, will anybody play by them? These days, politics could use a little refereeing. And we're not afraid to blow the whistle.
I talked to a lot of people, many of them fighting mad. It's a divided country, people ready to go toe-to-toe on each and every issue. And it's not going to change anytime soon. I like a political fight as much as anybody. But are we going to get to some decisions or just keep fighting?
The woman sitting next to me at the counter at the diner, she turns to me and says, "Please tell Larry O'Donnell that he needs to run for president." And I was like, that I will do. That does it for us tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow. Now it's time for the last word with the aforementioned Lawrence O'Donnell. Good evening, Lawrence.
Good evening, Rachel. So it's my turn to blush, as I've been doing here.
There is a very nice lady named Judy who definitely wants you to run for president.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Tomorrow's headlines before they go to print.
What would your lead be about this event at the White House?
Tomorrow's questions before anyone's asked them.
How far is this from normal?
The 11th Hour with Brian Williams. Weeknights on MSNBC.
The Rachel Maddow Show, only on MSNBC.
Don't you love that music? It means just 29 days to go before the midterm elections. So all week long, we're looking at 18 key House races in the 18 most competitive districts of 2018. Today, the focus is on California's 48. There may be no incumbent in the country more controversial than this guy, Republican Dana Rohrabacher, in the district Hillary Clinton won in 2016. Republicans are now in grave danger of losing. It's a seat that was once a stronghold of Reagan conservatism. And guess who's here to talk through it? MSNBC national political correspondent Steve Kornacki at the big board for us. Steve, we're getting closer and closer to like the mini Super Bowl before the 2020 Super Bowl. Walk us through this district and its national implications here.
Yeah, you're right. 18 districts we got to look at before 2018 we want to focus in on. And you mentioned this one is so interesting. Look, geographically, you're talking about a very small part of California here, but this is Orange County, densely populated, coastal area. The Beach Boys used to sing about this, the 48th district here. One fun fact about it, it's the home of the Surf City Surf Dog competition. So we thought we'd show you a surfing dog. So if you ever heard a Beach Boys song, it was probably,
man. Thank you.
It was probably
People
set in this
cannot
district.
Turn away now.
And you can see the surfing dogs too. But yes, let's talk politics here. Dana Rohrabacher has been the congressman from this district, or this area, I should say, for 30 years now. He was first elected in 1988, and in the course of those 30 years, the demographics and the politics of this part of California have just changed dramatically. You mentioned this was the heart of Reagan conservatism, Orange County, California. Look, as recently as 2012, Mitt Romney was still able to win this district by double digits. But you look in 2016, this is one of those areas across the country. There are 25 districts in the country that are like this. Hillary Clinton won it in 2016, but the Republican incumbent did too. Republican House seat, Hillary Clinton district. Harley Ruda, the Democratic candidate here. Remember, Democrats, they have that whole jungle primary, top two primary in California. Democrats were a little worried who they were going to nominate, though. They seem to have gotten the candidate out here. A lot of money behind Harley Ruda in this race. So this is one of those, and I should say as well, that wasn't supposed to happen. I should say as well, the other interesting thing about this race, too, is it's one of 7 in California that are like this, that Democrats are targeting. Republican held, won by Hillary Clinton. So how is it looking? Well, you're seeing a couple things here. Dead even. Most recent poll. This came out just a couple days from the LA Times. The power of incumbency, the residual power of the Republican label in this district, but Harley Ruda counting on changing demographics and Democratic energy.
Steve, what are you talking about tomorrow? You're coming back on the show, right? All week long?
Yeah, we're doing, I said we have 18 districts coming up. We want to surprise you every day. I don't want to give it away just yet, but the idea here is there are 18. They're the most competitive, generally, also the most interesting. We have some wild cards in there that may not be on everybody's radar right now, but maybe you want to keep an eye on as we head into election night.
That's a hell of a tease, my friend. I'll be here tomorrow. You'll be here tomorrow.
Let's
Hopefully
do it
everybody
again.
else will, too. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Let me bring in now Tom Steyer, president and founder of NextGen America, and the liberal billionaire leading a campaign to impeach President Trump. Tom, thanks for being on. And hey, before we get into this here, let me just tell you and our viewers, President Trump is currently speaking with reporters on the White House South Lawn. That is new. Thank you for checking out our YouTube channel. Why don't you subscribe? It's really easy. Just click on that button down there. And for more news from MSNBC, click on any of these videos here for the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more videos from MSNBC with our newsletters. Head over to msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up.